Let's talk about Sniffer, the first major antagonist introduced in Reanimal, a game that reincarnates the fear and atmosphere of Little Nightmares. He's a tall, well-dressed, lanky man with a face sagging in folds of excess skin. He stalks your characters, lures them into traps, and rides a tricycle that somehow looks terrifying and hilarious at the same time. But what exactly makes him such a disturbing character? Because it's more than just his appearance. It's his interaction with the children protagonists, his gameplay mechanics, his eerie sound design, all woven into the environmental storytelling surrounding him. So let's take a closer look at Sniffer, the Skin Stealer. Much like Little Nightmares, Reanimal does a phenomenal job at building anticipation towards encountering their antagonists. The first time you see Sniffer is when he closes a large door. The sound design here is perfect. The music swells and the disturbing gurgles from Sniffer amp up the tension this game already had to a staggering degree. From this point on, I was terrified of how or when I would see this towering monster again. You solve a couple of puzzles, travel through his domain before climbing a ladder, and getting a full view of Sniffer's figure. Even though it's only for a split moment, you can tell his walk seems unnatural and stiff, almost as if he's learning to mimic the behavior of a human body. Granted, his feet are backwards, but there really is no official lore or story behind Sniffer to explain all this. But my game theory is that he takes heavy inspiration from skinwalkers in Navajo folklore. It's become a common trope in a lot of horror games, including No, I'm Not Human or Hellmart, where in those games you have to identify the skinwalkers and chase them away. But Sniffer's horror is way more tangible. Before his second appearance, you stumble across a locker. Curious, you open it, and what's inside is not a body, but a hollow, flayed corpse of skin. Throughout his chapter, you'll find discarded piles, heaps, or even draped from above on ledges or tree branches, peeled human skin, empty and sagging like discarded clothing. Now look, I've played lots of horror games in my time that have like mangled or mutilated corpses, and that's all well and good, but skin suits that crawl like snakes was not on my bingo card. They are so much more disturbing to me when compared to corpses I've seen in other games, because I think there's a ritualistic aspect going on here. It's a methodical process. They hang from elevated places as if they are laid out to dry like clothing, stuffed in dumpsters when the quality does not meet expectations. Sniffer has a preference or a use for these skin suits, and the mystery behind it all, I think, makes it all the more creepy. These skin suits don't have any lore or reasoning as to why they exist. Again, my theory is they serve as some sort of twisted costume for Sniffer. Perhaps his outward appearance is a patchwork of stitched together corpses, something he has to maintain and replace every so often. Maybe it's a product line that he's collected from corpses to sell, indicated by all the work and laundry he does. At first I thought it was just regular clothing, but upon closer inspection, he's actually ironing out skin. There's a room next to the laundry where he has multiple bloated corpses strung from hooks, draining water into the bathtubs. Maybe his clothing is made of skin, which would explain the fabric lying around. Whatever the case is, it's not for a good reason. It's important to note here too that some of his victims are still alive. When we find our friend locked inside a cage, the neighboring cells harbor similar obese humanoid creatures, breathing loudly and following our movements with their dead eyes. One is seen laying on his side, anticipating Sniffer to come by once again. With how meticulous Sniffer is, there's gotta be some tangible reasoning for this. And there is. A practical use, actually. After encountering a group of skin suits, we enter a bathroom where we can see Sniffer entering a corpse just outside of our view. He slowly crawls through its stomach, teleporting somewhere else inside his domain. It was very disturbing to see him stuff himself inside a corpse like an octopus, in a way that's not reasonably possible. This indicates that Sniffer can practically reappear from anywhere, as long as there's a corpse nearby. It gives him a supernatural, unexplainable appeal that a lot of horror games experiment with. But why mention all this in the first place? Because to me, this isn't random set dressing. Every location, every room, every corpse, every skin suit are a part of a full-blown network. A system that revolves around Sniffer and his character. This gives him phenomenal environmental control and storytelling. When it feels like you're invading the villain's personal playground, it becomes that much more terrifying. Sniffer is really the only antagonist in the game that has a disturbing sense of order. Whenever the player comes across Sniffer, he's actively pursuing chores like laundry, or carrying a briefcase somewhere organizing skin suits. There's a methodical madness to his design that makes him stand out from the rest in my personal opinion. From a gameplay perspective, Sniffer is just as terrifying. Your first real encounter with him is outside in the abandoned train yard. It's a deadly game of hide and seek, which is not really a surprise. Little Nightmares works the same way. My favorite section though was easily the laundry room. You have to move with the cycles of the washing machines to drown out the noise you make when you walk. Your character is already knee-deep in water, so if you try to move when the machines are off, Sniffer will hear you. If you're spotted, instead of walking on two legs, Sniffer will crawl on all fours and chase the player, which plays heavily into his skinwalker motif. If he does catch you, he will promptly bite off your head, which, cool. Something I noticed when looking back at the footage is his legs are backwards, and that alone is enough to make my skin crawl. You get it? Cause like skin's everywhere? Alright. And those corpses he crawls through isn't just a tension builder, it's a mechanic that comes into play later on. Sniffer starts to chase you, and just when you think you locked him outside, he bursts from a corpse sitting at the table. It's an intense moment that immediately deflates all safety you thought you had. And what I like about this is there's never a repeat situation here. Each encounter with Sniffer is unique. One that I really like is when he's digging through the dumpsters, so you have to slowly follow the back of it to avoid detection, and follow the path of dumpsters to safety. What really elevates Sniffer's character to me is his sound design. Sniffer makes these grotesque wheezes and gurgles, as if he's struggling to breathe constantly. It makes you wonder what's truly underneath all that folding skin. When he contorts, his skin stretches, his bones crack. Personally, some of the creepiest sound design I've heard in games is a heartbeat. I don't know why it gets me nervous, but I hate that. But bone crackings and skin stretching is a close second. On top of that, he will actively try to run over our characters with his ice cream truck, which, by the way, let's take a second to think this through here. A stalker-like enemy who wears skin suits from presumably dead bodies will lure children into his ice cream truck with a sweet treat, trap them in a cage, and then have his way with them however he pleases. You know, when you put it that way, Sniffer probably belongs in certain files. It's weird because with Hood, our third friend here, Sniffer acts much more gentle with him in comparison to when one of the siblings is captured. Instead of ripping their head off or shaking them aggressively, he gingerly takes them into the cinema, locking them in a cage instead of outright killing them. It gives them personality, although an evil one at that. To me, it's all about presentation. You can have Sniffer in a game like Resident Evil 4 and the entire tone would shift. Mostly because in that game, you can fight back, the over-the-shoulder action-like camera angle, and the scale here is completely different. In Reanimal, you're playing the role of small prey. There's no fighting mechanics in the game, and Sniffer, as well as all the other monsters, are huge in comparison to you. Combined with this unique camera angle, Reanimal, as well as Little Nightmares, has such a distinct horror factor that I've never seen another game replicate. Unless, of course, they're copying the formula play-by-play as much as possible. For example, Bramble the Mountain King does that. Another great game, by the way. Sniffer's chapter concludes with a final chase scene. As you fill up the gas canister, hundreds of skin suits start to pursue you. Sniffer erupts from a dead corpse right beside the gas pump and begins to chase you down. You successfully fill up the ice cream truck and escape through the woods. Except Sniffer intercepts you. A final battle ensues where you have to dodge his grabs and whack at his hands to finally knock him off the truck, and escape for good this time, thus concluding my favorite chapter in the game. Now, this isn't to say, of course, the other chapters are bad. Not at all. If anything, Sniffer was like a 9.5 and the others are like 9.3, so the overall game quality is top notch. I just think Sniffer is the scariest and the most intriguing antagonist inside Reanimal, and it's because of his environmental storytelling, personality, and disturbing sense of order that he has when we encounter him. Now, if you don't know, on this channel I have a series called Horror Quest where we embark on a journey to find the best and scariest horror games. There's also a subplot in that where I'm trying to find the scariest characters in video games. And Sniffer is definitely up there. If I were to rank him or give him a score, I would say Sniffer gets an A+, or an 8.5 out of 10. And that's really it. I just wanted to make a quick video on Sniffer because I like him as a villain. Expect him and Reanimal in general to appear in future video essays, and up next is probably the Code Vein 2 boss ranking I've been putting off, and then Poppy Playtime Chapter 5. I'm working on a big video essay as well, but that won't be done for some time, hopefully before Resident Evil 9 releases. Anyways, thanks for watching, and if you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like, and to subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care everyone, and of course, stay safe.